A study done by YouGov, an opinion poll done by YouGov exclusively for Sky News, has revealed that 62% of voters think that Anthony Albanese has handled Islamic extremism badly. And when it comes to anti-Semitism, 58% think he has handled the problem badly. In fact, almost half of even Labor voters say that they're not doing well. The Albanese government is not doing well with the problems suddenly confronting Australia now. Perhaps there's a feeling that, as you can see from those numbers, the feeling is he's not handling it well because he's not handling it very much. Not a lot has happened. There's a dramatic contrast a lot of Australians could see between Chris Minns and Anthony Albanese. And the question that is occurring to some people is, if you're doing this now, why didn't you do this 2 years ago? The figures are not good for the Albanese government, are they, Louise?
No, you make a great point, I think, Cal, that why didn't they act 2 years ago? We've talked about how slow the Albanese government has been to act on anti-Semitism. But what's interesting, I think, also about this is 39% of their own voters have turned against them on this. They also see it as a critical issue. Australians don't feel protected if they don't feel the federal government has acted properly on anti-Semitism and extremism. Arguably the two biggest issues facing our country now. We've talked at length about the threat of China and what's happening with Trump, but really these are the things that drive to the core of every home in Australia, and people aren't feeling safe. So it's a devastating poll for them.
It really is. I mean, it's hard to know, though, how any other result could have been achieved. I mean, if you ask someone in the wake of the worst anti-Semitic attack by radical Islamists in Australian history, how well do you think the government is handling anti-Semitism and radical Islam? You'd almost have to be brain damaged to say, oh, I think they're doing a great job. I mean, you mentioned China. It would be like doing a poll after China invaded us and saying, how well do you think the Australian government's handling its relationship with China?
Yes.
So I think it is a massive blow. It'll be interesting to see. I'm really looking forward to, or be curious to see what the first news poll of the new year says and whether or not it's dramatically hurt the government's standing overall. So I think people can say, look, you've done terrible on this, but is this going to tar Albanese's standing across all issues among all voters? I think that will be the really telling thing, because clearly anti-Semitism has been a bit of a blind spot. And you ask why he hasn't done it before. Well, I think there were a lot of people, not him himself necessarily, but I think a lot of people on the left, on the left of politics, generally the extreme crazy left, like the Greens, who are just absolutely loco on this issue and are completely disconnected from reality. But also, it has to be said, people in the hard left of the Labor Party, and there's a few of them. You know, we saw the disgraceful scenes at the Victorian Labor Party state conference, and there was a New South Wales MP who had to be put in his box on this as well. But I think that there was a sort of this idea that anti-Semitism wasn't really real, or if it was real, it wasn't really serious, or if it was serious, it was nothing compared to the genocide and apartheid that Israel was doing. So it was okay to be a bit anti-Semitic because, you know, Israel's so evil, man. And now we see the real impact of that, the deadly impact of ignoring that, and the deadly impact of those sentiments. And it can't be denied anymore.
Well, Leslie, did that weigh with Anthony Albanese? I mean, every time he talked about anti-Semitism over most of the last 2 years, he equated it with Islamophobia.
That's right.
And we just haven't seen those kinds of attacks that you could label Islamophobic. We're seeing anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
So did he not see it?
I don't know. In my view, he's acted very poorly on this, and I think a lot of Jewish Australians would hold that view as well. He also sort of swept in the sort of neo-Nazi element, the far-right element. I mean, they're a problem, but it doesn't compare to anti-Semitism, or now we've seen the Islamic ideology as well and how that's influenced society and the literally deadly effect it's had on Bondi. And, you know, our whole psyche has been ruptured by this, and we don't feel our national leader, our PM, has actually been across it and has our best interests at heart and has really fought hard for Australia.